Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm It's Robbie Rhino, and in today's video I have 3 replays for you in the Tier 8 Premium Medium Tank, the ASTRON Rex, and this is of course the Ultimate Season Pass tank that you get on purchase of the Ultimate Season Pass for the Allegiance season. And it's a Tier 8 American medium tank. It's got a 105mm gun with a 5-shot autoloader capable of dealing 1600 damage, albeit in 16 seconds as the interclip reload is 4 seconds long, but it's very powerful indeed, very stealthy, it has reasonable mobility, and it's got a little bit of armor too. So I'll tell you about the ASTRON Rex, I'll talk to you about my equipment and commander setup, I'll show you about the armor with some pop-ups on screen, and then we'll get talking about the gameplay. The first is here on Nomonhan. It's an assault battle. We are assaulting on Nomonhan, so I'm going to try and get some vision out early doors here and put this fantastic gun to use. So the ASTRON Rex, like I said, you get it on purchase of the Ultimate Season Pass, and usually the Ultimate Season Pass is a pretty good deal if you play World of Tanks console quite a lot, and this is a pretty damn good tank to have as the Ultimate Season Pass tank. It's very powerful, and in Tier 8 there's lots of variety, and I think it's one of the best tiers inside the World War II game mode to play. So the ASTRON Rex as a medium tank has 1300 hit points, which is actually pretty decent, and considering it's so stealthy, the 1300 hit points do last you quite a long way if you set it out correctly, and I'll show you my commander and equipment setup in just a little bit. In terms of the view range, 390 meters, which is actually pretty good, and you can get that up to a fantastic level, meaning you have a very good ability to spot for yourself. And also when you add in the still concealment rating base, which is 338 meters, it means that you are able to outspot a lot of other medium tanks and pretty much every heavy tank that you will come across if I learn how to speak, and that is fantastic news, because with your 5-shot autoloader and that pretty long interclip reload, it means that you do need a little bit of time to unload your clip, and if you're unloading it and you are undetected, it means that you are able to preserve your hit points. In terms of the mobility of the ASTRON Rex, it's not too bad news considering it is so stealthy and the gun so powerful. You have a 450 horsepower engine with a 14.52 horsepower to ton ratio. That's not too bad for getting into position. It's a little bit slow in comparison to some other medium tanks, but you're seeing here on Nomonhan I'm getting out of harm's way relatively quickly, and this is going up slope. The top forward speed is 52 kilometers an hour, and you can get up to that top speed relatively quickly considering it's a fairly sort of light tank in terms of its weight. You can go 30 kilometers an hour in reverse, which is one of the massive bonuses of this tank. On a ridgeline you can zoom back down and get out of harm's way and avoid taking enemy fire, and the traverse speeds are fantastic. On your hull it's 50 degrees a second, and on your turret it's 44 degrees a second, so no problem getting your gun round to people that are trying to circle you, and it feels very flexible at moving your armor around to the biggest threat. So now we're going to talk about the 105mm gun, and like I said, it's a 5-shot autoloader. It's capable of dealing that 1600 alpha damage in 16 seconds because the interclip reload is 4 seconds long. With this gun you have 10 degrees of gun depression, which is absolutely great for ridgelines, and 15 degrees of elevation, which is perfectly adequate, and you carry 40 rounds of ammunition. Per shot you're dealing 320 damage with your standard AP rounds and your premium APCR, and if you choose to use the HE rounds you'll be dealing 420 alpha damage per shot. The penetration is a little bit lacking on the standard AP rounds, it's 190mm, however you can boost that to 250mm of penetration with the premium APCR rounds, which do come in handy, although that does still struggle against some of the heavy and super heavy tanks at tiers 9 and 10, so you do have to think about your positioning and try and flank when possible. And it's 53mm of HE penetration for those artillery at the end of the game that now have the boosted hit points. In terms of the shell velocity, the AP is a little bit slow at 945 meters a second, but you can boost that up to 1181 meters a second with the APCR rounds, which are your premium rounds. They're faster, they've obviously got more pen, but they do lose a lot of penetration over distance, so do bear that in mind if you're firing at mid to long ranges. And the HE has the same shell velocity as the AP rounds at 945 meters per second. And lastly, about this 105mm gun, you have 1920 DPM base, which for a 5-shot autoloader is actually pretty good, and it's in line with something like the AMBT, which has just been re-released and buffed ever so slightly, and it's much better than something like the Samoa SM, which is the French Tier 8 premium heavy tank with an autoloader. That's got like 1600 or odd DPM, so this does beat that by 300 DPM, and that's not too bad considering you do have a nice mix of armor, mobility, concealment and firepower with the AMBT. So we're not going to talk about the armor until the next gameplay. We're going to watch the ending of this game here on Nomonhan. We've already picked up 3.6k damage. We've blocked 230 damage and 245 assistance, and those numbers are a pretty good reflection of the kind of things you can get up to with this tank. With this autoloader, you can ambush a tank, you can completely take out a tier 8 and even some tier 9s, or you can completely cripple a tier 10. You've got enough view range to spot for yourself, and you combine that with your concealment rating, you're able to outspot your opponents pretty easily. And I believe at least the first 2 gameplays in this review I wasn't using a couple of the concealment perks which I'll tell you about in the next gameplay on my commander. So you're seeing here with the worst kind of concealment that you can get in the AMBT, apart from if you weren't using a commander or equipment setup at all, and you're already seeing that it's been relatively stealthy and I've had enough view range to outspot my opponents, get a little bit of assistance, and you're going to be seeing me get some more assistance in another game later in today's video. But there's one enemy left, we're not going to be able to get there. Our IS-3 takes out the Dragon on the enemy team, and we managed to take down this assault game. We finish in the MVP slot on our team with 3 kills, sniper badge, sniper medal I should say, 1543 base experience points, 3 kills, 3.9k direct damage, 245 assistance, 230 blocked, and a nice profit with or without a premium account. With a premium account, 66,000 silver, so not too bad for a tier 8 World War II premium tank. So we're now going to hop on into the second gameplay, talk about the armor and my equipment setup, and then a little bit more about how I like to play this tank. So we're now into the second gameplay here on Malinovka in the ASTRON Rex. It's a standard battle. I'm going to head into position early doors, try and get some vision on the 0 line at tanks crossing towards the hill, and hopefully I'll be able to catch someone out, someone tall enough to shoot over the ridge lines, and I'm able to get some nice damage in. But first I'm going to tell you about my commander and equipment setup, and then I'll tell you about the armor and some things I want you to know, just that it might catch you out. There's a little bit of armor that might be quite annoying for some players, and it might catch them out, especially if you're fighting this thing as a sort of tier 6 or 7 tank. But my commander and equipment setup, let's talk about that first. So in terms of my equipment, I run gun stabilizer, improved ventilation and advanced optics. And in terms of my commander skills, I run 6th Sense, Spawn Leader, Rapid Loading, Steady Aim, Rapid Aim, Snapshot, Camouflage Expertise, Muffled Shot and Situational Awareness. So in terms of my equipment, gun stabilizer to help the accuracy out, as the base aim time is actually pretty good already. In terms of my improved ventilation, I'm running that to help the DPM, to try and get the reload as good as possible, but also to push up my view range and everything about the tank, and optics to push up my view range so I'm able to spot for myself and use the concealment to my advantage. In terms of the commander skills, 6th Sense and Born Leader is standard, rapid loading to help the DPM, some gun handling skills as the accuracy isn't great. The base accuracy on the gun is 0.43 and the base aim time's 2 seconds, so the aim time is absolutely fine, but the accuracy needed some work. In terms of the last three skills, situational awareness to boost up the view range, again to use in conjunction with the concealment of this tank and be able to spot for myself, get some nice assistance and get that extra XP. And I'm using camouflage expertise and muffled shot, as I feel like those were the two best concealment perks to use. You could take off a gun handling perk for another concealment perk and play a really stealthy build. It's up to you. I'm still tweaking it a little bit, but I found that this one works pretty damn well and it gives you some pretty good numbers. So I just told you the aim time and the accuracy of the ASTRON Rex, because I didn't tell you about that when I was talking about the gun. But like I said, 2-second aim time base, you can get that down to a very good level. And with my commander and equipment setup, I've got that down to 1.81 seconds from 2 seconds. And in terms of the accuracy, it was a pretty horrific 0.43 base, but I've got that down to 0.34 with my commander and equipment setup. In terms of the view range, I've boosted that from 390 meters to 510 meters, and the still concealment has gone from 338 meters to 313 meters. And if you do use another piece of concealment equipment, that would probably, or concealment commander skill I should say, that would take that still concealment rating down to around sort of 290, 300 meters, which is very good for a tier 8 medium tank, especially one that isn't the smallest kind of vehicle. It's just a little bit low profile with a chunky turret. In terms of the reload for the magazine, it's gone from 34 seconds to 26.86 seconds, and in terms of my DPM, that means that it's gone from 1920 DPM to 2240 DPM. So for a 5-shot autoloader with a 4-second interclip reload, that's a pretty good DPM, and yeah, it's just a nice combination of view range, concealment, mobility, firepower. The DPM's absolutely fine. You're earning some silver. Yeah, it's a pretty damn good tank, and I'm very happy that it came into World of Tanks console, because it hasn't been in the PC version for too long, at least as far as I can remember. So that's it for my command and equipment setup. Let's quickly talk about the armor as you're watching me try and get out of a sticky situation I've got myself in, where my whole team is on the hill and I'm trying to spot for them, but I'm only gonna last for a short while down here because I know I will get flanked eventually, and I don't think there's a way out of this position, but you'll have to watch that and see as I tell you about the armor. So on the turret, which is the armor you're hoping it's going to be very good on this tank, as it's got 10 degrees of gun depression, you're going to want to be using it on those ridge lines. If this tank is looking at you without any of its gun depression, you need around 220 millimeters of penetration to the left and right of the gun, and to the outer edges of the turret you'll need around 270 millimeters of penetration or more, so definitely watch out for that. And the big weak spot is that massive cupola, which you only need around 120 millimeters or more penetration to go through. In terms of the upper plate, you need around 160 millimeters of penetration for the hull, as it's only 85 millimeters of base thickness and it's not angled dramatically. When it's angled at around 45 degrees, do watch out for the outer edge of the hull, as that will turn into an auto ricochet angle, as I'm showing you hopefully with an image on screen now. And in terms of the lower plate, this is the thing that might catch a few people out. It's actually quite a good lower plate. When this thing is looking at you, you need around 200 millimeters plus penetration for a sort of 30 to 50% chance of going through. So the higher penetration, the better. And if this thing is angled at a sort of 45 degrees angle to you, then you're going to need around 230 to 250 millimeters of penetration to go through the lower plate. So it's quite a strong lower plate, and the upper plate will be the better place to shoot. So definitely take that into consideration when this thing's coming around a corner or something. And if you're a sort of slightly taller tank, it might be a lot better just to shoot through the upper hole and don't bother aiming for the lower plate. Upper hole or the cupola will be your best bets. And as I get taken out and we're watching a few of my teammates try and take this one down, the side armor is 70 millimeters, so it's quite a good side scraper and it won't get overmatched by anything you're going to come across. Or it won't be overmatched by anything you're going to come across apart from artillery rounds, of course. So that makes it quite a good side scraper. The smallest weak point on the side is this little part here I'm going to show you on screen, and you need around 90 millimeters of penetration to go through this. it's a very hard weak point to hit, and it's pretty much the only thing that you can go for when this thing is side scraping, unless you have HE rounds or it's over angling, and then you will be able to go through the side. But angled at sort of a 30 to 40 degree angle, this thing is a very good side scraper indeed, and hopefully I've shown you on screen all of the images of the armor and given you the best chance to take this thing down. But that's it for this gameplay. It's going to take a while for my team to get obliterated. I'm going to skip to the end and then we'll see how we did. So eventually we do get taken down. By we I mean the whole team there. It took a while, but eventually we did crumble, but we still finished top of our team with 4k direct damage, 1.2k assistance, 1.1k blocked, 2 kills. So showing you the power of the ASTRON Rex there again, with a little bit of clever thinking in the middle. I might have been able to get out of harm's way, but still a decent defeat. We make a profit with or without a premium account, 33,000 without a premium account, and 89,000 profit with a premium account there. So now we're going to head on into the third and final gameplay, and I'll get talking about how I like to play this tank and my final thoughts on it. So we're now into the third and final gameplay of today's video on the ASTRON Rex, and as you can see we are very bottom tier in this game, plenty of tier 10s for us to take on, so this should be a good test for the ASTRON Rex and it should show you how powerful this tank is. So on Siegfried line we're on a standard battle, and from the northern spawn I'm going to race into a position which is really aggressive, and it's a position that might not always work, but I think it's worth it sometimes because you can have cracking games like I'm going to have here in the ASTRON Rex. We do knock that tree down for a little bit of extra concealment. That's even if the trees or the bushes work on this map, who knows, but might as well. I knock it down, pull back in case someone sees me knock it down and aims for me, and then I'm going to sit here and try and get some vision out and catch people out on this mid-ridge that I'm aiming towards, where that progetto was going towards, and see if I can not get some shots early doors and use my view range. And being aggressive or being calculated in your aggression with a tier 8 in a tier 10 matchup can either go one of two ways. If you go slightly too aggressive, you get taken out very quickly and you're back to the garage. Or if you're a little bit more patient and you're aggressive, get into a position, then wait there for a while before moving on, and you play it smartly, you can have a good game. And this is how you get your extra assistance, by shooting a tier 10 tank or a tier 9 tank in a tier 8, or by spotting them and getting a tracking assistance, that kind of thing. You are getting more experience than if you were fighting against tier 8s, and this is the sort of perfect scenario for getting those mastery badges and those epic games. So there on that Progetto 65, a very dangerous Italian tier 10 auto-reloading medium tank. We managed to help by spotting that tank, getting into position, getting a couple of shells in and getting some spotting assistance there on that Progetto. And now we're lighting up this Scorpion who's going out in the middle with no armor at all, and we're going to put this gun to use. You can see here some pretty poor aim by me, just getting used to the slightly slower shell velocity on the AP rounds at below 1000 meters a second, but we do manage to get some assistance there on that Scorpion. And now we're going to go for a reload. As you can see, I run large repair, large medkit, and combat rations to assist with the view range and the reload and everything about the tank, and it's just how I like to play it. But you might want to consider taking a fire extinguisher if you're not a player that likes to be as aggressive as I am being here, because from the rear this thing can get set on fire. I've got set on fire a few times in it. It's an American tank with a big old rear that likes to get set on fire. But here we're just proxy spotting this Chrysler K, the other side of this rock. We are a lot more protected than he is. There's no tank where we are going to be getting shot from. The furthest forward is that T62A, and hopefully we were the ones managing to spot him there, or it's going to be the medium tanks to my right. But as we are getting lovely juicy assistance from the Chrysler K getting shot, we're also getting assistance, I believe, from that T62A, and we're getting shots into all these tanks here, including that WZ-120 and that G-Saw who we were firing at. And we managed to get a very lucky shell there of RNG, tracking that WZ-120 out in the open there. It looks like he is stocked because I believe I bounced 250, make that 500 damage from him, showing you the armor's pretty good when the enemy don't have fully upgraded guns or you are firing against tier 8 and below. So we're on another reload now. We've already picked up 2,000 assistance and we've picked up 1.2k of our own damage. And we've already blocked a little bit of damage as well. And again, you just have a mix of numbers up there at the top of the screen when you're playing this tank. It's just a very good all-round autoloader, very powerful indeed, and a lot of fun to play. The concealment rating is very good. We're only really getting spotted here when we're firing and when someone who's got enough view range to combat our concealment can actually cut through our concealment and spot us. So this is a very good demonstration of the ASTRON Rex. I'm not playing particularly well myself. I've just chosen to go into a fairly aggressive location and it's paid off with the assistance we have got in the middle of the map here on Siegfried line. We managed to take out that T62A there, and the beauty about having 5 shots in your magazine is you're either able to completely take out a tank, completely cripple them for the rest of the battle, or you are able to take sort of multiple kills within one clip and in multiple attempts. So if you miss one shell, you've got another one loaded, and that's the beauty of autoloaders. It's kind of world of autoloaders sometimes in this game. However, I'm just going to go with it and play the tanks that I enjoy, and this is definitely one of them. And if I was going to give you my final thoughts now on the ASTRON Rex, yeah, it's a fantastic tank, a very good Ultimate Season Pass tank, and for the price of the Season Pass, it's worth it alone just for this tank if you're looking for a tier 8 auto-loading medium tank. As you see here, we're picking up all of the lovely juicy assistance on the boosted hit points of the artillery. We're using the hardcover to our left to flank our enemies. We've got 4 shells left in our magazine, and we're looking around for the best target to shoot. So I feel like that medium tank to the left of me is going to get taken out, and I know there's a Death Star in front of me. I was confident of getting, or spotting the Death Star I should say, before he spots me. However, obviously there was that Trinity there to our left which we popped a shot in, and now we're just using hardcover to advance on this Death Star. He's a he's got a turret, but his turret is limited, and he's fired, so we can just go in now. I'm going to go for the Track's first shot, but might as well just go for the damage. I'm going to be able to unload a few shells before he reloads, and we take him out there, finishing a nice combined damage game here on Siegfried line for the ASTRON Rex. So that's MVP for us in that game, 113,000 silver profit. That's only a first class medal, which just goes to show you how well people are playing this tank and how powerful it is. But 1902 base experience, 2 kills, 3.1k assistant, 3.1k direct damage I should say, and 3.8k assistance with 500 blocked. So yeah, that's 6.9k combined there. A very nice game there on Siegfried line, and that tells you everything you need to know about the ASTRON Rex. So that ends today's video. I hope that you found it entertaining and or useful. As always, thank you all so much for your support, and until next time, I'll see you on the battlefield, and bye for now.